format of this is going to be a 20 minutes about that sort of time frame talk, followed by a 10-minute question and answer session. So guys, if you have any questions that you have for Laura while she's doing the talk that you want to ask about how she got where she is, what got her into the job, what's been her favourite experience while doing the job, what's the best thing about the job, anything like that, any burning questions that you have, if you save them to the end, then Laura will do her best to answer those questions. All right.
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
Without further ado, over to you, Laura.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm Laura Stalley. So I work for a company called GoBe Consultants, and we are a marine planning consultancy based in the southwest. And I'm just obviously here to chat to you a bit about the company I work for, the type of work we do, and how I got into the role I'm in. So just a little bit of overview of what I intend to just chat about. So talk a little bit about GoBe and myself, my role in the company and how I got there. I thought it would then also be quite useful for me to go over some of the skills that you need as a consultant and how you can develop those skills from an early stage. And then I just thought I'd cover a little bit about how the renewables energy, particularly the wind farms, are developing at the moment. And then I've got some pretty cool stuff to show you at the end, because I whittled on for a few minutes and I'm sure you'd want to see something interesting. So GoBe, so we are a consultancy with the head office based in Devon, Buckfastleigh, and we have a second office in Glasgow. As I said, we're primarily a marine planning and environmental consultancy, and we operate in the UK, Europe, and recently North America. So our largest area of work is the offshore wind industry, but we do work in other renewables and other energy sectors, including marine aggregates, coastal infrastructure, and subsea cables. We also get involved in a lot of sort of policy research, working with the likes of WWF, the Crown Estate. So it's not all just kind of report writing and sort of working with developers. Although most of our work is sort of worldwide and quite large scale projects, we do tend to get involved with smaller scale local projects. So things like RNLI slipways, cycle sustrans routes. And we just kind of support their kind of planning applications and any environmental services they may require. That's GoBe. So what is a consultant? What is our role in this process? What do we do? And essentially, the vast majority of our work does include project management, strategic support, consultee engagement, so like engaging with Natural England, JNCC. But essentially what we do whatever we need to do to support our client in their project development, whether this be preparing impact assessments for large scale projects or supporting licensing processes. We support projects at various stages of development, so assisting developers with early project design and site selection, as well as developing documentation to take them through the application phase, and then supporting them through construction and operation of their projects. This tends to be how it works, but it's all dependent on the type of project we're working and the requirements of the developer. So in order for us to kind of successfully deliver on those developer needs, we need input from various technical specialists. They play a crucial role in preparing impact assessments and advising on site selection. So our kind of technical teams include physical process modelers, benthic ecologists, fish and shellfish ecology experts, marine mammals, ornithologists, people with background in commercial fisheries, shipping and navigation, and kind of seascape and visual resource. And the way GoBe is set up is that we have like a team of project managers who are considered kind of like generalists. You know, we have some of us have a particular area of interest, but we tend to just have oversight of a project, and then we call upon our specialists and they support any kind of technical input that we might require. Our specialists have come from various roles beforehand. So our benthic ecologists have worked offshore in surveys. We've got ornithologists who have previously worked for JNCC. We've got fish and shellfish ecologists who have previously worked for Natural England. So they've come from all over the place, and they're now working at GoBe and supporting us in these kind of application processes. So they don't just, I guess, also with the specialists, they don't just kind of support us in report writing, that kind of aspect of the work, but they also give them freedom to partake in research. They regularly attend conferences. They've provided kind of governmental reports and advice. So they're very engaging with kind of the scientific community, and you know, it's important that we as a company, GoBe, stay up to date with the latest science so we can support our developers with all that latest research. So hopefully, like, that slide can just show you there's lots of opportunities across a range of disciplines and consultancies. It's not just about the PMs. You know, we require a lot of cleverer people than I am who are specialists in their fields. So just a bit about me, I guess, about my job. So I am a project manager, and I'm currently supporting the development of a series of offshore wind farms in the East Anglia area. I will be supporting the developer through the process of getting them consent all the way up until they finish construction. So it's about a 5-year timeline. We typically refer to this kind of phase of the work as the post-consent compliance phase. So essentially, each of the projects have a consent, and under their consents, there's a series of actions we must complete prior to commencement of construction and during construction. My role is to ensure all of those actions are ticked off before we start building. So one of those actions may relate to environmental monitoring. So when we kind of go through the application process, we have to identify if there's any sensitive receptors where we're building our projects. And under that kind of application process, stakeholders may require us to monitor those features. So one of my roles is to develop these monitoring plans with the help of my specialists and our technical teams in GoBe, and essentially develop research plans to help us learn a little bit more about those sensitive features. And this kind of includes birds, marine mammals, benthic ecology, things like reef and sensitive habitats. So yeah, I assist the development of those monitoring plans, and as well as I'm involved with the kind of survey strategizing, so actually planning those surveys and getting those surveys mobilized offshore. I work with the developers teams to help design the wind farm. So there's lots going on. I was quite fortunate in how I kind of landed my role. So I'm a marine biologist by kind of my background. I studied at Plymouth University, and I'd done, it was the straight up marine biology course. That was 3 years. And I was primarily interested in kind of pollutants and the impact on marine life. So I focused my modules around that topic. Once I finished my marine biology course, I was kind of a little bit lost into what I wanted to do next. I wasn't quite sure what kind of career path I wanted to go down. I wasn't a field marine biologist. I knew I didn't want to be out there doing the science. I was much more suited to applying that knowledge and how can I use biology to do something. And that's when I got speaking to one of my kind of friends of friends who started talking about consultancy. And then specifically started talking about wind farm development, and then I was able to kind of join the dots and found the environmental consultancy course at Plymouth University, and it was primarily onshore. But having spoken to the lecturers that were running the course, they were like, and me going to them like, this is kind of what I want to be doing. I kind of want to go into offshore wind farms from an offshore perspective. They were like, well, the concepts and the what we teach in the environmental consultancy course can be applied, to an offshore perspective as well as an onshore. So I was like, great. So I'd done that course. That was a year, and that included a placement. And I did my placement with GoBe, which was great. So I knew a friend who was working at GoBe at the time who'd come from the course previously. So I got chatting to the company, and they agreed to take me on for my placement, and that was 8 weeks. And then once I graduated, and it was a really successful placement. It was really wonderful. I fell in love with the company and the people that worked there. So I definitely made my interest in returning as an employee quite loud. So I graduated, and there was a bit of time where I was just kind of doing some customer service work, working in cafes, and then GoBe contacted me. I think it was about 6-7 months later, and they offered me employment, which was great, and I've been there ever since. And I very much love the company. I love what we do. I love what we stand for. I love our kind of ethos. I'm very, very happy there. So that's kind of how I got there. I was very fortunate. But I was very fortunate, and I'm very happy where I'm at. So I thought this would be a useful slide for you guys. It was just kind of what kind of skills do you need as a consultant, and how can you develop these skills at an early stage? I mean, I wasn't sure that I was being a consultant at such a young age. It very much came later in my education that I realized this is something I wanted to do. But I'm hoping that these skills are pretty applicable across the board for any kind of job role. So I just thought it'd be cool just to go through this and discuss kind of how you can develop these skills. So from a consultant's perspective, like, teamwork is crucial. So when we're developing these large kind of applications for large scale developments, you work across various individuals, across a range of disciplines, different ranks of professionalism, I guess. So having the ability to work well with others and understanding how to communicate with them is just essential. These types of skills you pick up like all over the shop via any type of employment. So whether you're working in your pubs, your cafes, customer service, like, learning how to talk to people will just come naturally through that employment. And they're all going to help you build a level of professionalism that is important, and is definitely something we look out for in recruitment. So don't ever think that just working in a pub is like, pouring a pint or pouring a coffee is just not going to help me in any way in my future career. I promise you it will, because that ability to communicate is so important, and without even realizing it, you'll be developing it in those jobs. Another key kind of skill is adaptability. So consultancy is fast-paced, things change very quickly, and you just need to just go with that flow. Again, this is something you're going to pick up from other employment. If you're working in fast-paced restaurants or anything, being able to multitask and adapt to the situation, it's something you'll pick up. Organization, problem solving, critical thinking, confidence, resourcefulness, like all these common skills that you're probably developing without even realizing via your course, any work placements you do, volunteering, as well as traveling. You're developing these without even knowing. So what I would probably recommend is try and be a little bit more conscious about these skills, and through the work that you're doing at the moment and figuring out where you want to get to, like, how can I be developing these skills now? And you can do that by any of the means like ran there. So you've got, traveling, hobbies, like team sports, anything like that. I think it's just important, like showing you can be independent and think for yourself is just great. And I think if you can go into any kind of job interview and demonstrate that you're willing to just give it all a go, like, throw anything at me, I'll do my best, then any kind of recruiter, employer would love to have you. So it's just a bit of a cheesy kind of advice for you all. So I just thought, just give you a little bit of information on the offshore wind industry, seeing as I'm here. So it's a fast developing industry. There's so many exciting opportunities going on at the moment. It's fast developing, and the demand for renewable energies, as you guys all probably are aware, is just immense, and the industry itself is catching its tail trying to keep up with this demand. So the map on your right, or the map, shows you all the current kind of wind farms in the UK that are either being built, either have been built, being built, or are in the process of obtaining their consents. So currently, I think we have about 11 gigawatts of offshore wind energy installed at the moment. Just some sort of like facts for you, I guess. Like today, around 44% of the UK's electricity comes from renewables, which will grow as the UK needs to meet, its net zero emissions targets. And the rate we're building these wind farms is growing so fast, and this is having a knock-on effect to the supply chain. The supply chains are growing and rapidly developing new technologies, and this is having a knock-on effect to the scale of the wind farms we're building and the size that we're able to build. So a great example is just generally the size of our wind turbines and how they've grown. So in the early 2000s, we were building turbines less than 150 meters in height. And currently the projects going through the application stage are proposing to install wind turbines up to 300 meters, so the height of the London Shard, which for me, the geek in me, is just, it blows my mind. Like having seen some of the, images and the videos of these offshore wind farms, they already look pretty large to me, and to think they're getting bigger in a more efficient way is pretty exciting, for me at least. So yeah, it's a really exciting opportunity being in the offshore wind industry. There's lots of jobs applying around at the moment, whether that be kind of on the developer side for actually building these wind farms, and they need the environmental and the technical specialists as well, or whether you're in the consultant side of things. Lots of opportunities. And I guess to just highlight that again, so the Crown Estate, the people, the government body that, the Queen, who owns the seabed, she leases areas for developers to build wind farms. So they've just released 7 new areas of the seabed to allow developers to build wind farms. So it's about 7 gigawatts of energy they've just released kind of available, and that's enough to power more than 6 million homes. So that's a great target to bringing down, kind of reaching our net emissions targets the government has set. So just to kind of finish off, I just thought I'd tell you something interesting about my job, I guess. Something that I really enjoy doing, the problem solving side of things. So before we can actually go out and build our wind farms, we need to make sure the area is safe. And one of the kind of tasks we have to do is make sure that there's no unexploded ordnance in the way of our kind of development sites. So UXO, which are essentially bombs. And these bombs are scattered across UK waters as a result of the wars the country's in. So these bombs would have been dropped through air raid kind of battles. And essentially, before we build, we need to make sure we clear these in a controlled manner. So the area I work in, East Anglia, is littered. We've got them everywhere. I had no appreciation for the kind of level of UXOs that might even be in our sea until I started this job, and this was definitely an eye-opener. So like, we try and avoid them, but by designing our wind farms around them. But if not, we do have to clear. And obviously, this can be a noisy event. So the way we have historically cleared UXO is by detonating them. And this is a highly regulated process. We have to obtain all sorts of licenses from all types of bodies, such as the Marine Management Organisation, Natural England, all types of fishing kind of stat bodies. There's lots of hoops that we need to jump through. And one of those is, we have to demonstrate that we're not having a significant impact on our marine life. So our marine mammals, such as the harbour porpoise, the seals, species of fish like herring. So we need to ensure we're not having a detrimental effect on them. And to do this, we have to mitigate against that noise that's being produced. So how do we do that? How do we stop something that's just noisy because it's detonating a bomb? How do we stop that being noisy in the sea? And how do we then stop kind of the impact on our marine environment, our marine mammals, our herring, and one of the methods we do this is by deploying noise abatement systems. And one of these is called a bubble curtain, which is essentially a massive hose that's deployed on the seabed, which blows bubbles up into like a circle, and then we detonate the UXO in the middle of the bubble circle, and those bubbles absorb some of that noise impact, so it's not as kind of far reaching, I guess. So it kind of contains that noise a little bit. And we also do things to make sure that we don't see any marine mammals in the vicinity. So we have things like passive acoustic monitoring devices, which will detect if a marine mammal is near, and if we detect it, we don't detonate, we wait. And we've got marine mammal observers on board the vessels as well, which keep an eye out for any of them. So there's lots we do to mitigate these impacts, but we don't want to be we don't want to be noisy in the sea. We want to try and reduce our impact as much as we can, and there's a lots of kind of science and research going on at the moment about how we remove these UXOs in a safe, controlled manner that has minimal impact on our sea life because of the noise they emit. And currently there is a new technique that's being explored, and it's called a low order detonation. So when we go kaboom, it's a high order, but we're currently exploring low order, which is something a lot quieter and essentially kind of sizzles out the bomb. It's the best way I can explain it. Yeah, it's a lot quieter. And I kind of got a video here to show you guys the difference. Hopefully this works. I don't think you'll hear the sound, so you can make your own sound effects, but you'll be able to get a gauge of kind of how, sorry, it's just shouting my ear now, of how loud it is. You know, you get a big plume. This is, you know, this is just standard detonation. You can see why we need things like the bubble curtains and marine mammal observers, because anything within that kind of vicinity is going to have some hearing damage or something a lot worse. So we're exploring these new techniques, and so this one's less dramatic. This is one with low yield. Just see, that was the detonation. So you can see the comparison. That little bob of the boy just demonstrates how much quieter these new techniques are potentially going to be, which is great news for us. So yeah, I hope you found that interesting. So that was me. If you have any questions, happy to answer them here. I've popped my email address on the front of the slide, so if you have anything in particular you want to just drop me a line, that's absolutely cool. Yeah, thank you guys. Hopefully you didn't find it too boring.
Thank you. We had one of the students say that they found it like, what did you say, quite relaxing to watch or something? Watching the explosions quite relaxing to watch.
Yeah, we get a lot of the videos come through, and we all sit there and kind of watch them. Oh, that's a nice little.
Did you say this is your first time you've done one of these like interactive talks?
Yeah. Like the conferences that we typically go to are just not happening at the moment. So this is the first kind of forum that I've been in that.
What, like an online one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you did really well. I mean, it's like I did a lot of teaching online, so I know it's like a bit of a one-way conversation. So it's a bit sort of like, it does get to the point you're like going, hello.
Anybody listening? You guys still there?
Do any of you guys have any questions? Oh, we've got somebody, Em's jumped in. She's got a question apparently. She just sent it to you via message.
Oh, sorry, I put it in the chat box, but Callum wants to know how long GoBe has operated in North America for.
So it's only recently, this year. So we've been supporting on a Trinidad and Tobago project. So yeah, very exotic. Sadly, we've not all been to Trinidad and Tobago as the Christmas party.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, I know, exactly. But yeah, we're starting to get our name heard a little more. Yeah, especially because of the American wind industry is kind of picking up now, and some of our kind of international counterparts are so busy that, you know, other developers are looking for other alternatives, and they're stumbling across us, which is great.
That's great. Thank you very much. That was a really good talk.
No worries. Thank you.